DorkLair.
Welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the New York Comic Con exclusive Golden Axe Skeleton 2-pack, sort of pink, bloody, so to speak, variant that they put out that just came in. Actually, it seemed like it was going to ship earlier because they said it was in stock, I think, when we ordered them back in October, but it took a little while. And now they're finally out, and they're great. They come with new weapons, and then, of course, they come with the new pink look, but otherwise they're pretty much the same as the initial bone-colored skeletons, which I had on my top 10 list. I think are fantastic figures, and that's going to apply to these as well. In fact, these might be a little better because they have kind of like a little bit more paint, and it's probably going to come down to whether or not you are okay with having the pink skeletons, and then also the difference in the weapons that are very, very different from the other release, actually. And it's nice to kind of have some mix and match weapons to go in with these guys. All right, well, let's get into this review. Starting off with the packaging, very similar to the original, but they did put on the new artwork. They have pictures of the new figures on there. They do have the same insert backdrop, which I'll take out so you can see. There is a little bit of like some finish variation on the lettering there. And then you can see up at the top the New York Comic Con sticker. Pink skeleton on the side, and then kind of all the options on the back. Golden Axe branding, and again, another one on the side. Look at the top, and then there's a look at the bottom with the barcode and the info, not really much on there. And then here's a look at the insert, the player select screen, which is kind of a thick piece of cardboard, so if you wanted to prop that up behind your figures, it would make a nice backdrop if you want to go with that sort of gamer theme. Okay, let's get a look at the details on this figure, starting off with the general profile, proportions and shape. Here's the front, here's the left side, a look at the skeleton from the back, and the right side of the figure. Overall, a pretty cool looking skeleton in my opinion. And zooming in a bit on the head here, kind of a neat sculpt. It's got that angry look to it. And there's a lot of little small sculpted details in that head where you can see the cracks in the seams of the skull plates or whatever. And those are painted nicely with there's paint down in there so that it brings out the accent of those sculpt pieces, and then you have different shading going on top of the pink to give it a very, to kind of go beyond just the video game look or the cartoony look and give it a little bit more of a grittier kind of thing with all that paint work. I do kind of wish the eyes were painted black. My lighting is making it look darker, but if you look, they're not painted. So in certain light, in very bright light, it's just pink in there. So I kind of wish the eyes were painted black on it. And the jaw is articulated. So I really do like him better with the screaming. Just so much more dynamic. But if you want to get just like your basic skeleton look right there. A lot of little intricate sculpt work down through the bones and the skeleton, in the spine and stuff. I don't know a ton about anatomy, so I don't know how accurate this skeleton is. I'm sure there are liberties taken to make it look more like the video game. But like you can see all the shading, so like when you get towards the joints, it's like a redder, darker pink, and then when you get throughout the main length of the bone or the main length of the ribs and so on, there's a lighter pink. So a lot of really great shading going on in the figure. You look at the hips and the legs, pretty much the same kind of paint scheme going on throughout, but in here you have the feet. No peg holes or anything. I don't think any Storm Collectibles figures have peg holes, but there's a look at the figure. I think it looks great, and because of all the shading, I kind of like this one better. And it's obviously pink. It's very, very... I think in the game, it's supposed to be bloody or something like that, but it's not going to represent a real world skeleton because it's pink. But I love it because, it's going to go with my Mezco pink skulls. But, the pink is all a matter of preference. Like if you're not going to be down with a pink skeleton, it's not the figure for you. But I think it's pretty cool looking, and it's going to really stand out on the shelf against a lot of other sort of grays and browns and stuff. And now let's get a look at the skeleton next to a few other figures. First off, here he is next to the 2-pack Axe Battler and the Dragon, which the Dragon was pretty much my favorite figure of 2020. Just an awesome set. My Axe Battler broke when I tried to customize it. I have them sort of stuck back together. But so if anybody has a lead on a loose Axe Battler, let me know. I'm actually on the hunt for one of those. But the dragon is definitely like a top tier figure. If you're looking for a cool mount or just any kind of really fun, wacky creature for your collection, that dragon's awesome. A lot of fun right there. And then here he is next to a couple other skeletons. On the right is the original Golden Axe skeleton from Storm, and then on the left is Scaphoid, the skeleton from the Mythic Legions line, who I picked because he's kind of got that toxic color going on. And then a couple other familiar lines. These are definitely more in that scale, closer to 7-inch of, like, say, the movie realization line from Tamashii Nations with C-3PO on the left. Much larger, much taller than, like, say, a Mezco Gomez. But, you know, like, you can pose him up and fit him in photos. I actually have a photo on Instagram where he's posed up and he looks pretty good next to the Pink Skulls, actually. And it's almost like they could be his minions or whatever. For accessories, they each come with their own set of 5 pair of hands, starting off with a set of clawing hands and then a set of pointing hands, followed up with a set of sort of relaxed hands, and then hands to grip the weapons, and then finally fists. However, as you can see, I ended up with 3 right fists and then only 1 left fist, so there was a little QC issue on mine. However, I don't really ever see posing both of them with 2 fists each, so I don't know that I'll ever be this. I don't think this is like an issue that I'll try to get fixed or anything, but just be aware. Check your hands, check your parts, make sure your feet match and all that stuff, because QC issues can happen. And a look at the weapons. Here's the shield, very metallic with rusty kind of paint on there, which I think it looks great and very appropriate for a skeleton. Even painted on the inside, and so you have the thing to put the arm through, and then the handle there. It can be kind of tricky to get it in, and let me give you a demonstration. And the reason it's tricky is because there's so much loose space in this area that it's hard to pose it. You really do have to use the fist. Like, ideally, you would use maybe like the clawing hand and just kind of fudge it. So you do have to use the gripping hand, and it can be kind of tricky to get it on there because of the way it is. But you have to just sort of get lucky sliding it around and moving it and getting it on just like that. And then once it's on there, you can kind of hold that, pose him, and he'll hold it pretty well. But it can just be tricky getting that hand right on to grip that because you're limited by the space with this thing here. And then he comes with the scythe, which is really cool. It's got these 2 blades on the end as well as the big blade. And there's very metallic paint and some shading going on the blade itself. And then there's a little bit of detail on the handle to make it wooden. And it does fit pretty well in the hand. It slides right in. I feel like the hands are, or maybe the handle was probably made to fit sort of perfectly in the hands. Finally, for the articulation, the head is on a ball joint. There's no other sort of neck movement below it, but can look up and down pretty well. And he can cock his head side to side. And as I mentioned earlier, he's got that jaw articulation, so you can pose him with the jaw closed or the jaw open. The joints feel a little stiffer on this one than on the original, which is nice because the original, certain poses, it can get a little loose, but this one feels a little tighter, so you can almost hear nice stiffer joints. So there's a ball joint at the shoulder there, and he can swing his arm all the way around. And then there's a ball joint at the elbow, and he can twist at the elbow. Same joint at the wrist. A lot of ball joints. It's just like a lot of the same joints going on. And then in the torso there, at the top of the waist, I guess, at the bottom of the rib cage, there's a ball joint up there. And you can crunch way forward, especially if you use both of those joints. A lot of articulation forward. Going backward, you can go that much. So ball joint at the top, ball joint at the hip. And then there's a double ball joint. So his hips can kind of go up and down a little bit there. And then they can twist here, and they can almost butterfly in and out. And at the knee, same type of ball. He can kick his knee back this far. He can twist at the knee. And then down at the ankle, there's a ball joint with an angled peg so that you can rock the ankles a little bit here. He can point his feet down a little bit of an angle, and then he can point his feet up decently and then he's got that toe articulation, and of course they twist. And then I didn't mention kind of going out into the splits. He can go all the way out into the splits. So you can pretty much fold this guy down however you want. You could make these guys into a pile of bones for your other figures to just be battling on. You can almost use these as diorama pieces, but they're also great action figures that are highly posable, a lot of fun, a lot of great detail in these figures. And for $60 for a 2-pack, I think it's a great product. It's a really good price, $30 each. They come with a bunch of different hands, nicely detailed weapons, great product. I'm not sure if it's still in stock. I was looking on the site and couldn't find it. So these might be sold out, but who knows? You might be able to find them on the secondary market for not too much because they just released. Anyway, thanks for watching my video. And I just want to give a quick shout out. I was on a live stream with Unparalleled Universe, and I want to thank those members who came over and subscribed and commented from that live. I appreciate you guys, and welcome to the DorkLair. And until next time, may the force be with you.
Follow me into the door.